Hey everyone, I am talking about Like Kings this month, and I am super psyched about it. I did St. James last month, and I didn't write that song, so it was a little bit shorter, but this one is actually one of my favorite Good Morning Bedlam tunes. And obviously it is the title track off our sophomore album, and it's one of the happier songs in the Good Morning Bedlam repertoire. So I am excited to share about it with you. So things I'm going to be talking about with Like Kings is the writing of it, the themes, the lyrics behind it, the inspirations behind it, and some of that kind of stuff. And this one was really fun. This one is really near and dear to my heart. So I actually remember the day that I started writing Like Kings. And it was right when Sophia and I started playing shows. So it would have been July of 2015, I think. And we woke up really, really early because we did a morning radio show in Decorah, Iowa. So we drove down there, and then from there we drove to Sioux Falls to play our show that night, our first time playing in Sioux Falls. And I just remember we were both so exhausted, and Sophie was sleeping, and because at the time it was just Sophie and I who were, we started the band, and 30 minutes outside of Sioux Falls, I had this tune stuck in my head. And I remember, about 30 minutes out being like, bum, 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 bum. That was basically what was keeping me awake. So we pull into Sioux Falls. We go to, there's this park in Sioux Falls where there's a waterfall, hence the name. And so we pulled in there because we were there early. And, we were just going to be hanging out in the park for a while. And I grabbed my guitar because I had this idea. So and then I kind of started jamming that boom, 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 and then turned into bum, 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 bum. And I remember, and I did come up with the first line that day. I'll trade all of my money for one last pack of strings. And if you promise to go with me, then we'll take the world like kings. And it did actually take me a couple months to solidify the words, but that day I got that one line, and I started writing the melody and stuff. And so that's what I remember about the writing of it. Let's talk about inspirations. My favorite band in the whole world that inspired me to even start writing folk music is the Avett Brothers. So for those of you who don't know, basically what the Avett Brothers are famous for, and what they built their entire career on, is writing simple folk songs that are just from the heart and very earnest. That's, they've got so many songs that are so great. I get murdered in the city, don't go revenging in my name. They just have so many, love writes a letter and sends it to hate. Just all of these just beautiful, acoustic guitar, maybe two acoustic guitars, maybe acoustic guitar and banjo. Just very simple songs like that, and you can totally tell that I was inspired by them in this song. And in the form of the song. So the other thing that they're really famous for is doing these songs like this that are very simple, and doing them in, instead of doing verse, chorus, doing verse, 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 verse. And kind of creating that pattern. It's very simple. It's very, it almost loops back on itself. And that's one of the things I love about them. They do that in so many of my favorite songs. Tear Down the House, Murder in the City, Ballad of Love and Hate, When I Drink, I Wish I Was. And so I also did that in this song. And so you'll see that where they do verse, 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 and then maybe at the end they'll repeat the first verse, or they'll mirror it in some way and change the words a little bit. But that's exactly what I did in this song. I go verse, I got 4 or 5 verses, 6 verses, and then at the end, I tag it with the first verse again. The other song that really inspired this song, funny enough, was actually written by me. I played, right before Sophie and I started this band, I played in a different folk band with some friends from high school, and basically, we had this song called Older Now that we would play. And it was very similar to Like Kings. It was simpler, but it followed that path. I had written it for my friend, and it was, it followed this path of kind of looking forward into our lives and saying, like, here's what your life might look like when you meet your wife, and when you have a daughter, and when you have a son, and when there are hard times, and I'm going to be there to support you. And it's very similar, it even follows a pattern of, like, love, daughter, son, in each of the, in the first 4 verses. Those are the content of the first 4, and that's exactly how Like Kings is. Love, daughter, son. And so something like from that would have been, when your son finds his eyes cause him shame. And in Like Kings, it goes, trade all of my money for one precious boy, and I'll do my best to raise him in the lust and in the noise. And both, those are both talking about, just kind of this, what I see as kind of this cultural thing of objectification, and how do we deal with that, and how do we raise men to be good to women. And so it's funny how those mirror each other. Actually, my sister, who's my best friend, Mac, we always joke that Like Kings is the new and improved version of the song Older Now. So maybe when I do the demos, I'll throw up a little bit of Older Now, and you can hear that as well. And actually the other difference is that I wrote the Older Now for a friend, and this one actually looks into my own life. And so I think that's kind of interesting too. A little snippet. All right, let's take a look at the words. So we come into the song with that main riff. And I'll trade all of my money for one last pack of strings. And if you promise to go with me, then we'll take the world like kings. But we won't go where the wind blows. We won't go where the wind blows. We'll only go to the places we're shown, and let the light let us not be alone. And so this song, obviously, it's a love song. It's almost a love letter to my wife, Tori. And, really what this song is about is looking like a king, living like royalty, living in freedom can look so different to different people, and to us, that is living in freedom, living on the road. And, all it takes for us to do what we love is for me to have one more pack of strings, and for Tori to go with me. And we won't go where the wind blows. We won't go where the wind blows. We'll only go the places we're shown, and let the light let us not be alone. That line, for me. Oh, I also want to just give a disclaimer, like I always do before lyrics. These are what the lyrics mean to me, or what I originally wrote them about. But if they mean something different to you, poetry is subjective, and you should continue. There's no right or wrong answer. So this is just what these mean to me. What that means when I was writing it is that one of my biggest fears, or probably my biggest fear I've had in my life, is whether it's right or wrong or healthy or unhealthy, is just that I'm going to end up being insignificant. And so what that has really done for me, or made me into, is somebody that chases things. I chase music. I chase the things I love. At my relationships, I am like hardcore in, because I just so badly don't want to miss out. And it's really a chase, I really want to, I'd like to see myself as a chaser of the light, somebody who chases after the light, after the good. And so that's what that's about. I don't want to just blow around in the wind my whole life and be just kind of ping-ponged around. I want to do something important. I want to do something worthwhile. And so chasing after the light by playing music and doing that and chasing after good in that way is how Tori and I have decided to do it. And that's what I saw in Tori when I first met her, and I think why I first fell in love with her. So that's kind of what that line is about. I've kind of set it up of, I want to take the world like kings, and this song will be exploring what does that look like in our life. So this second verse is, trade away my right hand to keep yours inside my left, to hear you whisper softly, feel your head against my chest. In my pocket I've been hiding this ring. I've been trying to express you in these foolish melodies, but I love you. I'll pull you up, and now when you sing, it's the cost of the joy that you bring. And this song, I mean, I think those lyrics are pretty self-explanatory, but they're just a love letter to my wife. That's all it is, plain and simple. And a vow to a degree. Pull her up and out, you know, I'm going to write, you know, that's when we fell in love, writing these songs about her. And in my vow to her is that when she is down, I'm going to pick her back up, and she's going to do the same for me. And then we go into the instrumental. And so this is how this kind of came about. After our first big tour, Tori wasn't even in the band yet. It would have been right after we got married, a couple months after. Our original banjo player, Noah, and I, we went out to the Mabatma Fest in Minnesota Bluegrass, an old-time music association. We did this jam camp out there. And we barely saw any music, but one band that we saw while we were there is this old-timey band from Wisconsin. And I didn't know anything about old-timey music because my inspiration are the Ava Brothers. You know, I really wasn't raised in the tradition of old-time music or bluegrass music or Americana. So I really came at it from a new direction, and I've worked my way back into getting into old-timey and bluegrassy and realizing what the things I love have come from. But I didn't know anything about old-timey music at the time, but I saw this band called the Yellow-Bellied Sapsuckers, you know, doing this great, like, one thing I love about old-timey is it doesn't have to be impressive, it's just got to be satisfying, and I just love these, like, really satisfying chords they would do with this, like, really simple fiddle melody. And so I wrote kind of this chord progression, and when I brought it to myself, I was like, oh, I really want it to be like old-timey, and so we listened to a bunch of old-timey stuff, and she kind of came up with a very old-timey part. And that's kind of where that instrumental idea came from, because a lot of our solos tend to be really fast, and so I was trying to, you know, rip on the violin as fast as she can, but we want to do something a little bit different for this one. And I just think that melody she came up with is really beautiful. And then we get into that second set of verses. So verse 3 is, trade all of my money for one baby girl, and I'll do my best to show her all the dirt that's in the world. So the world needs that dirt to grow. Flowers, they can bloom in the snow. She'll raise up the world with the beauty she's shown. So I'll teach my baby girl all I know. So I wrote this just, I really do believe in the, you know, the phrase, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I think that it's the dirt, it's the tough stuff, the hard stuff in life that makes you strong. And so if I have a daughter someday, I want her to, like, be aware, to know those things, to see it. The world needs that dirt to grow. Flowers can't bloom in the snow. She'll raise up the world with the beauty she's shown. And so then I think that you can't really, you know, it's this idea of, like, you can't appreciate beauty and you can't appreciate these, you know, these beautiful things in life unless you also understand, like, what the dirt is and where we've come from and what it takes to get, you know, to the beautiful things in life. And I'm going to be honest, sometimes I get nervous singing this verse in public because I pair the daughter line with flowers, and I just hope nobody takes it as like, oh, you know, girls aren't strong, they need to be shown beauty to raise up the world. That's not what I'm saying at all. The fourth verse is the sun line. Trade all of my money for one precious boy, and I'll do my best to raise him in the lust and in the noise. You know, I'm just hoping he'll be sweeter than me, and I'm just hoping he'll be braver than me, and I hope that he takes after you, and lets his heart be the lead of his feet. So, you know, this is, I think, like, one of the really important things about raising sons, in my non-expert opinion, is that, you know, just raising them to be respectful of others and not to objectify. And I think that's really hard in this culture. I think this culture does a lot of objectifying of women. And hopefully when I'm a son, I hope I have a son, I hope that I can teach him the difference between respect and disrespect and objectification versus love, and how does that work? And I think that's important. So I wanted to write that, and then I put in there, hope you'll be sweeter than me. I didn't want to put, sweet, anything. I think if my son could be sweet, that would be amazing. And then brave, and I think they go hand in hand. Obviously, if you've ever met Tori, sweet and brave. And then I hope he takes after Tori and lets his heart be, chases after the light in a wholehearted way. And I know because sometimes I get held back by my feelings or being down or whatever it is. So I would love it if someday I have a son and he is like Tori, and a daughter. That she would be like Tori. We go back into the instrumental there. And we get into that last verse before we do the tag at the end, which is, remember all the times that you've kissed me on the cheek. You said sometimes we're in the valley, sometimes we're at that peak. But I will love you as long as you continue to seek what little good your small hands can bring. So this was just a verse about, the times Tori has comforted me or encouraged me when I've been really down, in reminding me you can be at a mountaintop moment or you can be deep, deep in the pits. And either way, it doesn't change where you're at in life, I'm going to love you regardless of where you're at, whether you're at your best or at your worst. Because I will love you as long as you keep trying. You try to bring good. You try, I know I'm not always the easiest person to get along with. If you've ever met Tori, she's obviously like the most encouraging person ever. And I'm very blessed to be her partner, be her husband. And that's kind of what this verse is about is, she's vowed that she doesn't love me based on my good moments or my bad moments, but she loves me on the fact that I want to pursue the light with her. And I want to pursue goodness with her and truth and curiosity. And so as long as I'm trying, because I can be really difficult to get along with sometimes, as long as I'm trying to see what little good I can do in the world, what good my small hands can bring, then she'll continue to love me, not based on my goals or my achievements, but on my heart. And that's why I think she's the best human. And that's why I wrote this song for her, because I just think she's the best. And one thing we did with this, so I know that now I think in the album it did make it on there, where she sings in that second verse, the trade away my right hand, but originally I just had her singing on this verse, because thematically what I wanted to do is she sings on just the lines in this verse in which it is her voice. So instead of like doing it back and forth in a duet way that you often would, where it's like, I'm saying something to you, Tori, and you're responding, I'm writing something to her. But I wanted to use her voice, the harmony, to echo the actual words that, she was saying. Because I say, remember all the times that you kissed me on the cheek, and you said, and then she comes in because these are the things she said. So it's an echo of it. It's a memory of the thing she said. Sometimes we're in the valley, sometimes we're at that peak. But I'll love you as long as you continue to seek what little good your small hands can bring. And that's why we made the choice to put her harmonies there. Because they are the echo of her actual words in real life, which is a fun little tidbit. So it seems kind of random maybe musically of why they go there, but that's why they go there thematically. And then we go back in the last verse, and then we tag it at the end with the, I'll trade all of the money, trade all of my money for one last pack of string. And if you promise to go with me, then we'll take the world like kings. One reason I really like doing this kind of repeating the mantra of the song, the title of the song, kind of that first line is, the beginning of the song is like, I want to live like kings, and and it's like, okay, yeah, like what does that mean? What does that look like? And so now to repeat at the end, you kind of see what that encompasses for our lives. It means freedom, it means being on the road, it means playing music, it means having a family, it means holding each other up when we're down, it means giving each other tough love when we need it. and those kinds of things. And so I think that, and it may look like something different for other people. Like I said, I don't think there's wrong or right answers. And what I really wanted to accomplish in this song, and I hope you guys feel this, is that I wanted to write something very, just like my favorite songwriters, my inspirations, I wanted to write a song that was both very personal, but also universal. Simple, personal to me, but universal in a way that it's like, it's also your song. It's also, you can connect to it. It's you can use it for your life, your relationship, your wedding, whatever it is. And so it can be both those things, both personal and universal. And I think I hope you guys feel that way about it. Especially after I talk about it, I don't want it to feel like it's not yours anymore because I wrote this for my wife, but song is poetry and poetry is subjective and it's open to translation's not the right word. Interpretation. There it is. But also I just wrote this song because I love my wife, Tori. All right. Have a good day.